On WRAL News at noon, Chantal's aftermath. More than 20,000 are without power after the storm dropped heavy rain across the state. Flooding has claimed at least one life, closed more than 100 roads, and left homes underwater in the Triangle and beyond. We have team coverage this afternoon as the cleanup begins.
And the flood advisory that covers our western counties, where we saw 6 to 8 inches of rain, does expire soon. I'll show you what happens next.
80 people were evacuated in Durham as the Eno River came rushing up to their doorsteps. We'll show you the worst spots here in Durham.
And right now, noon, remnants of Chantal. It has moved out of the Triangle now. In its wake, a path of flooding and damage from homes to shopping centers. The storm left buildings throughout our area underwater, roads and dams washed out, and at least 2 people missing. And we've learned in the last 45 minutes, a woman is dead after her car was swept away by floodwaters in Pittsburgh. Thanks for joining us at noon. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. As the area enters cleanup mode, a flood advisory remains in effect until 1 p.m. The Triangle's largest news team is covering Chantal's aftermath, from flooding to outages to the cleanup.
And we start with Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. Elizabeth, what's it looking like there as we check the flood advisory right now?
So the advisory is in effect until 1 o'clock. So 1 more hour. There's no indication that the Weather Service will extend this. The rivers are beginning to go down. It seems all the rivers have crested at this point, but there is still a lot of floodwater out there. And so you need to be very careful. Now that it's daylight, now that people have been able to take some assessments of what's going on, hopefully there are barriers up. And if you run into one of those barriers, please turn around. Don't try to drive through floodwaters for any reason. We did end up with 6 to 8 inches of rainfall, and notice it was just in that corridor, just in our western counties. We did not see that in Raleigh, while we had, of course, deadly flooding happening there in Durham and over into Chatham County. We take a look at our hour-by-hour rain chances. This afternoon, we do see a 20% chance, but it's not likely that that's going to be enough to cause any additional problems. Our storm cleanup, lots of sunshine out there right now, but it is hot and very humid. It's a tropical air mass that lingers, and our high temperatures will be in the low 90s. It is a WRAL weather alert day, obviously, but as I mentioned, most of the rivers have crested at this point. The Cape Fear may crest in the next couple of days. We're going to take a look at all the rivers that you need to know about in just a few minutes. There are still road closures because of ongoing flooding, but gradually those rivers and streams will go down. They'll continue to drop through Tuesday and Wednesday, and each afternoon we'll have a few isolated thunderstorms. We do have a level 1 risk for severe storms tomorrow. That paired with a major heat risk with the potential for a heat advisory means tomorrow is also a WRAL weather alert day. We're going to take a look at our potential for rainfall ahead this week. It does look heavy in some places.
The Eno River has finally crested, but not before causing major flooding through the northern part of Durham. A live look we have right now from Sky 5, where homes and cars are still underwater at this hour. 80 people were rescued by boat. Dozens of apartments and homes had to be evacuated. Thankfully, though, no injuries have been reported. WRAL's Monica Casey joins us live right now. It has been such a difficult day there for people who live there, Monica.
Yeah, Jeff, it really has been. These townhomes back right up to the Eno River. And if you take a look behind me, you can see there's more activity here. The Swiftwater Rescue Team is actually back in the water right now, but they say they are not rescuing anyone else right now. This is damage assessment that they are doing out here. So 80 people had to be rescued. The fire department tells me there are still some people who chose to stay in their homes here. In fact, some of these homes on one side of the street actually still have power in this area as well. So that team heading in there right now. We know the water started to recede around 7 o'clock this morning. We do have a live look from Sky 5 to show you just how extensive this damage is from both the air and the ground here. Our crews have been out here all morning since this flooding started, and we have heard terrifying stories from residents here, many who say they only realized the flooding was happening when they heard it at their doors.
We woke up and we heard the noise of water around us. We suddenly opened the window and we saw all the driveway is flooded with water. We heard the trash fall in the driveway, so that's why we figured out that there is something wrong.
That man also telling us they had to evacuate multiple children from that home. Now, this is video from the other side of these townhomes showing just how fast the Eno is still roaring by right now at noon here. Now, as you can see out here near these townhomes, with just how far up the water is on that speed limit sign, it has a long way to go. It has receded considerably, but it's going to be a long time before all of this is totally gone. Live in Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
At least 63 people are displaced after widespread flash flooding damaged homes and businesses in Chapel Hill. You can see the aftermath from the Sky 5 video over a shopping center. You can see the mud-covered parking lot and cars left stranded. At least 7 stores and restaurants had damage, with roofs caved in and doors ripped off hinges. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is live with a ground-level view of the challenge ahead for small business owners. Destiny, the damage is extensive.
That's right, Renee. And many of the businesses are closed while the owners try to assess the damage and what they're able to salvage. I want you to take a look at just the breadth of this damage out here. I mean, take a look at this dumpster. Think about how heavy a dumpster really is and the way that that floodwater was able to pull it, slamming it into this Shake Shack here. There are also several cleaning crews that are out here cleaning up this debris that's in the middle of the parking lot. And officials are urging people to avoid this area, and you can see why. Again, debris everywhere. We've also seen some fire crews on the scene, as well as police officers out here talking to these business owners. And we should be getting some updates as to when some of these businesses will be able to reopen. But like I mentioned, many of them are still closed at this time, and they're asking many people to stay away at this time. If you follow me this way, you can see many of the vehicles that were in this parking lot were actually in the middle of that floodwater. Take a look at this Tesla here. You can see some of the damage to this vehicle, and even on the inside, you can see some of the dirt covering these seats here as well. Water rescues happened within this area, and most were in places where floodwaters entered or threatened to enter apartments and condos. In Chapel Hill, more than 50 water rescues happened, and 60 people were displaced. No injuries, thankfully, were reported. In Orange County as a whole, we have 59 people seeking shelter and 72 water rescues. I talked to one of the business owners out here, and he tells me it's tough. He's never had to deal with anything like this before. Have you been through this with any of your businesses before?
No, this is the first. Yeah, so I've never experienced this type of loss.
Again, as I mentioned, many of these vehicles out here have been abandoned as people were trying to escape those floodwaters. Officials now tell me that if you are having trouble finding your abandoned vehicle, that you should call Chapel Hill Police, and they will be able to assist you, because many vehicles actually had to be towed away for safety reasons. Of course, we're going to stay on top of this. Orange County, they are having a news conference in about 30 minutes or so. We'll keep you updated on what we find out. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, live in Chapel Hill.
In Chatham County, meantime, a search is underway for 2 missing boaters on Jordan Lake. Sky 5 flew over the scene, where crews are still actively looking. Officials there, according to them, the 2 were last seen launching a canoe from the Martha's Chapel Road canoe access point last night around 5 o'clock. WRAL's Sean Gallagher joins us live, and it's been a busy time for first responders in Chatham County. Sean.
Yeah, Jeff, we just learned within the last half hour or so an 83-year-old woman was found dead in her vehicle just about 3.5–4 miles away from where we're standing right now after that vehicle was swept away in those floodwaters. But you can see it's still very active here at Jordan Lake right here behind me. We earlier saw crews with the fire department dive team suiting up to get into the water, and they continue this search and rescue operation. As you can see, there are dogs here, boats that are going out in the water as they continue looking for those 2 boaters who went missing yesterday. Now, there are about a half dozen agencies that are partaking here, and the Chatham County Sheriff's Office says they're holding out hope they can still find these people alive. With how high the water is, they say it could be possible they found safety on the shores somewhere. Now, the Chatham County Sheriff's Office says 2 people who were here fishing launched around 5 o'clock Sunday evening, and deputies tell WRAL they have an area they are focusing their search on. But as calm and serene as Jordan Lake looks right now, the Sheriff's Office is urging people to stay off because of how violent it can get.
You get whitecaps on Jordan Lake, and that water can get very choppy. It looks calm now, but it's treacherous. There's debris in this water. You can't see it until you hit it, and it knocks your boat over if you're in a kayak. It can damage a motorboat, and so we just ask you to stay out of it right now.
Now, first responders also brought a dog out here that they tell me can pick up any scents that could help in locating those missing boaters. Now, there are family members that are here as a part of this search to wait for any information as it comes, but they've asked us to provide them privacy so that they can hold out hope that their loved ones will be found safe. At Jordan Lake, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, we are getting incredible images here at Hyco Lake in Person County. We know that the torrential rain caused a lot of flooding in that area, so much so that we're literally seeing, taking a look at the Sky 5 video, extensive damage. Not only that, but we're also seeing extensive flood damage throughout the lake, boats and debris floating everywhere, boat docks literally washing away. We've even seen some jet skis get crashing into bridges because that's how high the water is. This morning I spoke with Tim Oates. He lives in the area. He's giving us a firsthand look and experience of what he's dealing with there. Take a listen.
We got a text from a neighbor at 2 o'clock. It didn't wake us up when he realized that the boats were getting trapped. And we woke up at 4 o'clock, saw the text, ran down, and already our boathouse was underwater completely. Wow. So I couldn't get my boats out. I assumed they're crushed underneath.
And he tells me that he has lived in this area for more than 24 years. He has never seen anything like this. We're also getting new information from the National Weather Service. They're saying that Hyco Lake just crested a short while ago at 16.5 feet. And now there is concern because we do have more rain in the forecast this week.
Laura, thanks for that. Show us what's happening in your neighborhood. When it's safe, go out and take a picture or video and send it to us. Look for the Report It link on WRAL.com or the WRAL News app.
If you live in the town of Hillsborough, you're asked to boil water until further notice. Any water used for drinking, cooking, or washing your hands should be boiled. You're also asked to conserve water when you can. In Lee County, cleanup efforts are underway after a likely tornado touched down. Sanford officials reported seeing damage at the Raleigh Executive Jetport in Sanford. Surveyors are out now working to determine how severe the tornado was.
Track severe weather with the newly redesigned WRAL Weather app. It's free to download and use. And remember to turn on those push notifications so you can get the latest weather updates sent right to your phone. Help you out in these situations.
We recently put together an entire special on severe weather in North Carolina.
We have warmer temperatures. We have warmer oceans. Warmer temperatures, there's going to be more water vapor in the air molecules. And when you have that, you have more flood events. You have tropical systems lasting longer on land. They have more moisture to work with. So they're staying on land a lot longer.
Has been hit hard.
Talked about tropical systems like Chantal, why hurricanes are lasting longer over land and how these storms will affect your bottom line, even if your home never gets hit. If you missed it, you can find that story on the WRAL YouTube page right now. Just search Piece of the Puzzle.
Next at noon, our continuing coverage continues. A state of emergency in Moore County. One dam already washed out and more are at risk of failure. A live report as the flooding takes a serious toll in the county.
Also, the devastation from flooding in Texas includes tremendous loss of life. Dozens are dead and the search and rescue missions continue there.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
At least 82 people have now been confirmed dead following Friday's deadly flash flooding in Texas. Dozens are still missing, including children from a girls' summer camp.
This is as search and rescue efforts continue there, and new flooding threats are looming. Lee Waldman is in Hunt, Texas, with the latest.
We're down the road from Camp Mystic, but you can see the devastation left behind from Friday's early morning floods. You can see washed out furniture from what appears to be a store here, but there's destruction to the building structure itself. And then we're also walking along the banks of the Guadalupe River. The river itself is low right now, but you can see how high that water got by what was washed away from the river's banks. We know this river rose more than 20 feet in less than 2 hours early Friday, and this is the impact of that. Some have lost everything.
I've lost near friends, best friends, my boss, my godchildren, my house, my car.
Many barely making it to safety.
You know, it was a very, very close call. And had we been 10 or 15 minutes later, it would have been too late.
David Fry and his extended family were staying at the River Inn Resort in Hunt for their annual vacation when the Guadalupe River began flooding in the middle of the night.
We went through banging on doors, just trying to notify as many people as possible.
All 33 of them survived by climbing on top of the hotel roof. But it seems that for every story of relief is one of heartbreak. As the death toll mounts, dozens of loved ones are still missing.
Homes they were staying in were gone. They were just leveled. They were no longer there. We haven't heard or seen of them since then.
Kerr County Sheriff's Office says over 400 local, state, and national first responders and more than a dozen canine units are helping in the search and rescue efforts. Volunteers are also out looking on foot and horseback.
Those babies. If it was my babies, I'd want somebody looking, so that's why I'm here. I couldn't sit back.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has warned that the weather threat isn't over yet.
There's more heavy rainfall that's expected that will lead to potential flash flooding broadly in these regions.
Just the last thing they need is more rain, but it's on the way. Seeing some of the unfamiliar places in Texas flooding as well that aren't used to it. It's terrible.
Just a heartbreaking situation there in Texas, and thinking of all those families, especially those who sent their children to summer camp, and they're still trying to find those folks. All those responders working overtime to find those people. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center tracking Chantal. I think most people are ready to say good riddance to this storm.
And the remnants of that storm have moved on up into Virginia, and we're seeing a lot of sunshine, but there's some risks with the sunshine. We're going to start to see our temperatures really climbing tomorrow. We'll likely be under a heat advisory, and a lot of folks are going to need to be doing a lot of cleanup. So you're just going to need to have some patience and take some time. We still have our flood advisory in effect for our western counties, which is where we saw all of the heavy rain. Still some road closures, still some homes and businesses flooding, but the water is beginning to drop slowly now. Again, if you missed it earlier, this is a look at the map of where the rain was heaviest. This is where we had 6 to 8 inches of rain. And I've been covering tropical systems here in North Carolina for many, many years. And definitely we get 6 to 8 inches of rain in our viewing area, and it tends to be pretty serious. It was just in that one area, but a number of counties affected. Carmen Poor sent assist from Southern Pines, and you can see the very heavy rain there. Cars are driving through. And then also Wanda McCaskill sent assist from Carthage. You can see the water rushing over the road there. And what we always tell people is turn around, don't drown. I know it sounds like a hokey phrase, but take heed of it. Go to WRAL.com/reported if you have some photos that you would like to share with us. We would love to see them. The power of floodwaters is immense. Only 6 inches of floodwater can knock you down. Another thing to remember is if kids are out playing, make sure they don't play anywhere near floodwaters. A lot of times we hear that too, that they slide into the waters and get into trouble. Only a foot of rain for a car and about 18 inches for a truck or a larger vehicle. So it doesn't take much to wash those cars off the road. How about the flooding? We had a record flood this morning at the Eno River in Durham. The old record was from Hurricane Fran. It rose 22 feet in less than 4 hours, and it peaked or crested at 6:30 this morning at over 23 feet. So that was incredible. And Ali Kathlebar was there all morning just watching that water and watching all of the rescues that were happening. The Haw River near Bynum also at major flood, but starting to go down. By the time we get to tomorrow, it's out of major flood stage. The Deep River at Moncure is just at minor, so not too much to worry about there. We take a look at river flooding here on the Cape Fear River. At Lillington, it's at moderate right now, but drops down tomorrow, and then just minor flooding through Wednesday, the Cape Fear at Fayetteville. So that is pretty much all the rivers that were going to be at flood. The Flat River below Lake Mickey is likely to flood for a day or so as well. Checking Futurecast, of course, we're looking at lots of sunshine, but the potential for a few isolated storms. It's a very muggy air mass, lots of tropical moisture still. So 1 or 2 cells could pop up this afternoon, but that gets a little more dangerous later in the week. We'll talk more about it. It's breezy in Chapel Hill. We're seeing lots of sunshine. Of course, that was one of the areas that saw some significant flooding. It's 89 with a dew point of 74, so it's real muggy out there, and our temperatures will climb into the low 90s. That's going to put us at 99 for the heat index today, but 106 for tomorrow. So the Weather Service is already talking about a heat advisory for tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be a WRAL weather alert day. It's not just the heat, but we also have a level 1 risk for severe storms. Again, that could get a bit tricky later in the week. 60% chance Thursday and Friday, 50 Saturday. We're going to have a lot of heavy downpours in the same places that we had rain yesterday. So we'll talk more about that coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Improving internet access. The Biden administration approved $22 million for North Carolina to increase access in our state. Now, President Donald Trump says the program is a handout based on race. Today on WRAL News at 4, PolitiFact checks that claim.
And then repeat flooding issues. Certain areas of Chapel Hill see dangerous flooding, putting lives at risk. On WRAL News at 5, why people are still able to live in those areas and when the city could take action and declare it a flood zone.
Prime Day scams. Amazon's big sale is this week, and that means scammers are ramping up their efforts to rip you off. 5 on Your Side explains how to confirm whether a message that says it's from Amazon is real or fake.
Plus, record-breaking role, the lead actor that just became Hollywood's highest earner, and the recent film that just pushed her over the top.
Amazon Prime Day starts tomorrow, and with the deals come the scammers trying to steal your information and money. 5 on Your Side's Ashley Rowe shares how to confirm any emails claiming to be from Amazon are real.
Amazon just put out an alert in the last few days saying they're getting an increasing number of reports about fake emails claiming Prime subscriptions are automatically renewing at an unexpected price. These emails are made to look legitimate by including personal information swiped from other sources. But don't fall for it, and don't click on any links in these messages. You can ignore those emails, but if you're worried about your account, go to the Amazon app or website, click on your account, and then find your messages. That's where you can see all legitimate messages that Amazon has sent you. As for Prime Day itself, it's an opportunity to save money, but you don't want to overspend on things you don't need either, right? Consumer Reports says it's smart to go in with a plan.
For Prime Day is a little different this year. It's 4 days instead of the usual 2. It may be a little less convenient and maybe a little harder to track your spending, so be aware of that as you're shopping.
Remember, paying with a credit card is going to give you better fraud protections than paying with a debit card, say, or a peer-to-peer payment app. Ashley Rowe, 5 on Your Side.
Jurassic World Rebirth earned the top spot at the box office over the holiday weekend.
Studio estimates show it earned more than $300 million worldwide in its debut week. And with that start, Scarlett Johansson just became Hollywood's highest grossing lead actor. A career gross almost $15 billion. She passes the totals of fellow Marvel alums Robert Downey Jr. and Samuel L. Jackson. And way over half of that, almost $9 billion of that total, comes from playing Black Widow in the Marvel Universe. You go, ScarJo.
Impressive.
How about it? Still to come, our team coverage rolls on. Now, Moore County issues a state of emergency following flooding there. A live report as the state is now monitoring local dams.
Plus, frightening discovery. A 4-year-old finds a bullet in his bedroom during a 4th of July celebration. Coming up, how his mom is calling for accountability. Moore County is under a state of emergency. Torrential rain has taken a serious toll in the county. One dam has already washed out and more are at risk of failure.
Yeah, Longleaf Dam broke and flooded several homes and apartment complexes. Some areas in Moore County reported seeing up to 8 inches of rain there. WRAL's Willie Danley joins us now live. Willie.
Well, Jeff, we're standing here on Hunter Trail in Southern Pines. You can see this road is still closed from last night's flooding. Right here, you can actually see for yourself some of the erosion that took place due to that rushing flood water. I want you to take a look at this video, and you can see how devastating this damage was. This is the dam at Crystal Lake. Last night, that dam broke, partly taking out the roadway. You can see all the land nearby that was eroded due to that rushing water. As you can imagine, people here in Moore County are still trying to catch their breath after the flooding that took place here last night. Kenny Bumgarner and his wife were at the lake yesterday when they got a call from a neighbor telling them of the flooding at their property. He tells me when they got back here, there was at least 5 feet of water in the basement. One of their cars, a wine cellar, and countless family possessions were destroyed.
The back of the house was about 5 feet under, right up my nose, and I'm about 5'9". So the house was 5 feet in water, and the garage caved in. The lower garage caved it in up against my car, and blew through the door going into the family room downstairs.
As you can imagine, cleanup crews here in Moore County have a lot of work ahead of them. Of the homeowners that we've spoken to in this area, they tell us that they're actively working with insurance companies to figure out what damage is covered and what inside of their homes is salvageable. We're going to remain on this story in Moore County. Willie Danley, WRAL News.
Willie, thanks for that. And cleanup is underway in Chapel Hill as well after severe flooding destroyed a shopping center there. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains how store owners are working to recover.
At least 10 businesses on East Franklin Street have serious damage after this flooding. Take a look at this shoe shop. You can see where this water line is. Now, to put all this in perspective, I'm about 5'3", so this is at least 5 feet high. And now business owners have to face thousands of dollars in damage. Shattered glass, a toppled dumpster, and merchandise destroyed. A devastating sight for store managers at Eastgate Crossing like Jacob Coyne.
We have things falling off the walls. The paint's peeling. It already smells like sewage.
Coyne is the general manager of Rise Biscuits. He says their entire inventory was destroyed. Jeannie Jensen stopped by the restaurant this morning to pick up breakfast. When she arrived in the parking lot, this is what she saw. Cars shifted from their parking spots.
I never expected to see windows broken, glass on the floor, and the shoe store is a disaster, and look at the parking lot. Some cars that look like they've been tossed in the water.
Coyne says this damage creates larger problems outside of cleanup. Dozens of people may be out of work as these businesses recover.
I pray that everybody can kind of rebound quickly to help the town and the community and government come together and help us get the support we need to figure this out and get people back and going.
Store managers now face several challenges. Hours of cleanup, extensive insurance claims, and employees in need of a paycheck. 63 people have been displaced across Chapel Hill, according to town officials. And right now, we're working to get an update on when crews can complete a damage assessment of this shopping center. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Chapel Hill.
And just within the last 5 minutes, Sky 5 flew over a collapsed road in Chatham County. This is Lamont Norwood Road in Pittsboro, and the rushing water from the storm took out the entire roadway in both directions. You can see crews and onlookers are there at the scene.
You can track severe weather with the newly redesigned WRAL weather app. It's free to download and use. Remember to turn on those push notifications so you can get timely weather updates sent right to your phone.
A 4-year-old child almost became a victim of celebratory gunfire in Durham. WRAL's Laura Levine spoke with the child's mother, pleading for the community to put the guns down and for city leaders to take action.
As fireworks illuminated the night sky for the 4th of July holiday, there was something else keeping people up at night.
There was a lot of gunfire going on outside, but fireworks as well as soon as it, became dark outside.
Lashanae Lyons tells me on the eve of the holiday, things got pretty rowdy near her home on Plum Street. But it was what her son discovered the next day that became very disturbing.
I didn't think anything of it until the next morning when I woke up on the 4th. My son, my 4-year-old, came into my room and said, "Mommy, what is this?" And in his hand was a bullet.
A bullet from gunfire aimed in the air pierced the roof of her son's bedroom as he slept a few feet away.
So I'm just looking around and I see a hole in the roof. And, you know, the angle from where the bullet landed, I'm like, where did you get this from? He put it right back where he picked it up from, and I could see the chips of the paint from off the wall.
She filed a report with Durham police, visibly still shaken up by what could have happened.
He said, "Mommy, they were doing fireworks in my room." He thought it was fireworks, and it was an actual bullet that came through his ceiling.
Their home is a Habitat for Humanity build near Franklin Village, and she says it's an area familiar with senseless shootings.
Something has to be done. It's the young people that's running around with guns like they're toys, and they're just, randomly shooting. And these bullets, they're going somewhere, they're landing somewhere, and it could hit anybody, and it could hit anyone's child, grandmother, it could destroy a family.
She tells me she's thankful her family is okay, but now fears for their safety here.
My next step is to exit. I got to get my son out of here, my family. I can't. It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous.
For WRAL News, I'm Laura Levine in Durham.
That was way too close. Durham police are still investigating that case.
About 40,000 students in Wake County are headed back to the classroom today. Wake Schools says 39 year-round schools are starting the 2025-26 school year today, including 2 new ones, elementary schools, Rex Road Elementary in Holly Springs and Pleasant Plains Elementary in Apex. First day on the job, Fayetteville's new police chief gets to work today. What we know about his previous leadership experience.
Plus, a weather rarity. We asked the meteorologist about why it is so rare to see this kind of flooding in any given year. Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Cumberland, Vance, and Chatham counties.
And we start in Cumberland County. Today's Fayetteville Police Chief Roberto Bryan's first day on the job. He was named the city's next police chief back in May. He replaces Chief Ken Braden, who retired in March. Bryan was previously the chief of police at Fayetteville State University. He says he's already working on plans to address the city's challenges.
To Vance County, where 2 elementary schools will get new roofs this summer. The county commissioners and the Board of Education approved 4 repair applications for Pinkston Street Elementary School and Rollins Elementary School. Each school will get a new roof and a fresh coat of paint inside. The renovations total $1.6 million and will be paid for with state lottery funds.
In Chatham County, the 2025 election season kicks off today. Candidate filings for municipal races start today and will last until noon on July 18th, next Friday. 13 different offices are up for elections this November. Candidates can file at the Chatham County Board of Elections office on Thompson Street in Pittsboro.
Still to come, pet boarding nightmares, a dog fight, pets dying without proper notification, and staff apparently high on marijuana. Facilities in North Carolina with violations and how you can search a facility's history before deciding on a place to board your pet.
Dog fight, pets dying without proper notification, and staff apparently high on marijuana. Those are just some of the violations found by state inspectors at pet boarding facilities in North Carolina.
WRAL Investigates Sarah Kruger explains what they're doing about it and how you can search a facility's history before deciding on a place for your pet.
Summertime can often come with more travel for us and more boarding for our pets. You will definitely want to do your due diligence before choosing a place. I went through recent inspection reports and violation reports for boarding facilities around the state. There were some really troubling findings. Pets dying without proper notification to the state, animals without water, a kennel manager seemingly high on marijuana. The list goes on and on.
Hearing all that, what do you think? I think I will probably double check some things at our boarding facility.
I think the best scenario is having someone come to your home and take care of your dog, but that's hard to find.
Tonight at 6, I am talking with the state's animal welfare director who oversees these inspections. She shares what to watch out for and the biggest red flags for her. And very importantly, I will show you how to search for a facility so you can look up their history before you commit. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News.
The rain we saw from Chantal brought on a 500-year to 1,000-year flood in parts of the area.
Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains just how rare that is in today's Ask the Meteorologist.
Doesn't take us to tell you that the rain in parts of the area was rare from Chantal. In fact, the last time that we had half a foot of rain in one day in Orange County, that was back in 2018 with Florence, but it only happened 2 other times, during Hurricane Fran and during Hurricane Floyd as well. In Chapel Hill, the preliminary total about 6.97 inches. In fact, it's not just data, this is reality. You look at the Eno River near Durham. Thanks to Ken Wynn, by the way, he shows us that sign right there that showed the previous watermark of Hurricane Fran and how the water from Chantal actually got above that. So we call this a 500 to 1,000 year flood. That does not mean it's going to be another 500 to 1,000 years before this happens again, but it does show us the rarity of this happening. So we had pockets of 5 to 10 inches of rain in the western half of the area. Most of that fell within a 6 to 12 hour time frame. So statistically speaking, that has a 1 in 500 or 1 in 1,000 chance of happening. So a 0.2% to 0.1% chance of happening any given year. You get the point. The rain that we saw was very rare. The cleanup is going to continue for days, and we'll be with you every step of the way on the free WRAL weather app.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, I just got off the phone minutes ago with the Person County Sheriff, sharing an update on what you're seeing here, images that continue to come in the newsroom with Hyco Lake and the overall conditions in Person County. Take a listen to what he had to say.
As what we're seeing now is, we do got some road closures that's, the roads are just washed away in low-lying areas around small bridges and small creeks that, rose throughout the night. It washed out some of those roads pretty significantly. They're going to be impassable for several months. It's going to be a lot of work for DOT. As far as Hyco Lake area, we're still seeing significant flooding on the lake. There's a lot of property damage. We're fortunate enough to not have any missing people. Everybody's accounted for that we know of here. No injuries.
And of course, some residents in the area also sharing concern about the dam. They had questions, so I did ask him, was there a dam failure? He tells me no, but he said that there is concern about some possible damage to the spillway that's causing a lot of water to flow within the area. Of course, we're going to continue to keep you updated on what we're seeing in Person County.
We're seeing all those boathouses with the water
Right.
up around them. The roofs, well, if you didn't get your boat out in time, it's jammed up against the rafters and probably pretty damaged underneath that.
It will certainly be days before that water recedes. Hyco seeing historic flooding there. Meanwhile, we have drier weather and blue skies that will certainly help in the cleanup effort, Elizabeth.
And so much cleanup to do. Now that we've had several hours of daylight since all this happened, just new information keeps coming in of so many places that have had damage. So it's rough to see all of this around our viewing area. This is a look at some sunshine here in Sanford. Sanford was one of the places that had damage from a tornado. Most of the damage that we saw yesterday and last night was from flooding, but we did have a couple of reports of tornado damage as well. Right now it's 89 with a dew point of 74, so it's really warm and sticky, and it is going to be a very hot and muggy afternoon. We take a look at our storm reports, and you can see in a couple of places we had tornado damage reports. One of those on the line for Orange County and Alamance County, and another one just north of Sanford, which was there at the Jetport. But look at all these reports of flooding, and I have a feeling that more and more of those will be coming in. All these counties west of Raleigh, all the way down to Moore County, all the way up to Person County, of course, with so much flood damage. Well, let's talk talk about the tornadoes as well. Our debris detector, which of course is an exclusive product here for WRAL, was able to detect debris that was lofted into the air when the tornado touched down at the jetport and damaged one of the hangars and sent that debris up into the atmosphere. And of course, that happened at about 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon. We really didn't get into the flooding until last night. Let's jump ahead and talk about what's next. By tomorrow, we're going to have a better chance of some scattered storms. We already have a level 1 risk for severe storms for tomorrow and for Wednesday. You can see at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, that line of thunderstorms developing, hopefully not so much in the same place. Right now, it looks like it would potentially be along the I-95 corridor instead of back here in our western counties. That would certainly be the hope. We certainly don't need to see any more heavy rain there. This is a look at Wednesday, that level 1 risk for Wednesday, and I should say this is going to be for Tuesday and Wednesday, and potentially into Thursday as well, as we take a look at what that could bring us. How about rainfall? Notice again that a lot of that sets up along the I-95 corridor where there really wasn't very much rain yesterday. So maybe 2 to 3 inches there, but maybe our western counties see somewhere between an inch and an inch and a half. So we'll be watching very carefully. Of course, we had a lot of rivers. We're just looking at Hyco Lake, up out of its banks. So it's a concern what we may see next week. Also, the heat will be an issue for us. This is a look at our current heat index. Right now, it feels like 99 in Durham, Raleigh, Fayetteville, and Southern Pines. It feels like 104 in Clinton and 99 in Goldsboro. And this is a look at our temperature for this afternoon, likely to be in the low 90s. Tomorrow, it's going to feel more like 106, and then 104 Wednesday, 103 on Thursday. So we continue with heat and that chance of severe storms. So level 1 threat for tomorrow, also with that dangerous heat. So tomorrow is a WRAL weather alert day. So we're going to be watching for that extreme heat and the chance for some heavy downpours with afternoon showers and thunderstorms that will continue through this week.
Elizabeth, thanks. Another check of today's top stories after the break. As we wrap things up, a look at some of the areas hardest hit by floodwaters at this hour.
In Durham, their focus is now shifted to damage assessment after the Eno River caused major flooding throughout northern Durham. 80 people were rescued by boat. Dozens of homes and apartments had to be evacuated with cars left behind in the parking lots. So far, no injuries have been reported.
An 83-year-old woman died in Chatham County after she drove into high water and her car was swept off the road. Also, the search is underway for 2 missing boaters on Jordan Lake. The 2 were last seen launching a canoe from the Martha's Chapel Road canoe access last night around 5 o'clock.
Sky 5 gave us our first look at Hyco Lake in Person County. The water is so high it's almost up to the rooftops of those boathouses there. Some of those boathouses and docks are floating in the lake, broken off of the area docks. And the Person County Sheriff says some roads in the area are washed out and could take months to repair. Lauryn Hill performed to a near-empty Superdome in New Orleans during the end of her Essence Festival set Saturday.
The festival lineup had run hours behind schedule. Hill reportedly took the stage close to 4 a.m. The 50-year-old was seen bantering with the small crowd in the 83,000-person stadium and taking requests. Well, our crews are staying on top of Chantal's aftermath.
Yeah, this afternoon at 4, WRAL is bringing you team coverage from across central North Carolina, and we will hear from the communities hit hardest by the flooding and storms out there.
We hope you and yours are safe. Thanks for spending time with us. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
If you get a chance, check on some of the folks that live in some of the areas that have been affected by all this. Also, get your breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.